Welcome back on the AM show. It's time now for the news review, and we'll be joined shortly by Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. But before I bring him in, always as I do, I'll let you know this segment is sponsored. It's brought to you courtesy of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. And what are they offering you? Well, healing, so to speak, the end to your chronic disease. But they're also offering, if you're a man, prostate screening. And this month of November, in some parts of the world, is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. So how about you check your prostate? Some would say if you're 40 years. I would say, based on the statistics, if you're 35 and above, start checking your prostate. Have you checked it in the last few years? You ought to, and they're granting you this for free at Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. If you're a woman, you don't know the status of your fertility. Maybe you've tried to have children, it's not working. Or maybe you don't know what's going on there. There could be development of fibroids and myriad other issues. Well, you can also go to Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic and they'll get you screened for free. Now, here's where you can locate them. Here in Accra, they're at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi, Kronoma here, behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady Anaji Estate, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiama and Zema. If you'd like to call them, and I highly recommend that you do, the numbers are 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Well, that leads us to the start of the news review. I'm joined by political scientist, director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. Good morning, sir. Hello, Doc.
Yeah, good morning, Ben.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
For joining.
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Good morning to see you too.
All right.
I hope you are well.
By God's grace, I am. I hope you are too.
Very well.
Great. So we have quite a lot to talk about. I mean, there's the election of flag bearer of the MPP, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. There are still challenges in respect of the Akosombo Dam spillage and the effect on those communities. There's the renal department at Kolebu and everything that has happened. All they needed was 4 million Ghana cedis. It's now been reopened after quite a tussle. 19 people have had to pay exorbitant fees just to get the same services from private outfits. Some people have died, as we are told, and all of that. But the 4 million Ghana cedis required is just about 8 V8s or less, actually. We have all of these. I wonder now, when you look around, even MCs and the rest, and I say even, not disrespectfully, but all of these are riding in V8s and the rest. Can the state really afford to do this when we can't even take care of a renal department that is supposed to save lives? Anyway, I don't know whether you have any reflections on any of those matters or anything else. You can share with us, as we usually do, before we get into the papers.
I think I will touch on politics. If you look at the campaign that just ended, that is the MPP campaign, and there were money thrown in the system. And all that the party could do is, yes, look on. And once a while, they come and deny that, oh, it's not true and all that. My worry, where I sit, is that we are doing this thing as if there are no rules to the game. Rules regarding the way we conduct these affairs. We are not allowed by law to induce anybody through monetary or other rewards. No, at all. And if you look at the MPP constitution, it frowns upon this. We saw and heard, even, people testify to this, how money were shared to the extent that some people had to complain because one person was sharing something than the other. So, are we a country of laws? I mean, we just sit down for this thing to be unleashed on us, and we will not talk about it. Yet, we want our democracy to develop. My biggest worry is that now it is gradually becoming in recent time, particularly in MPP, that if you are the highest bidder, you are the one who will carry the day. And once you get to that level, we have shortchanged the whole democratic process. And now messages will not mean anything to anybody. All that you need to do during election is to go and dole out money to your supporters and delegates, and you are home and dry. Is that what we bargained for? Is that the democracy we want to build? And the effect of this, we have not taken the trouble to know the effect. It has great cost. And the earlier we root out this thing from our system, the better it will be for all of us. But what we do as a society, the way out is to bring back the conversation of political party financing. Because be fair to political parties, and that is not to say I want to support them for what they are doing, no. But at the end of the day, the parties must fund themselves. And how do they do it? If we are in as a state and we want to support in that direction, I think to a large extent we'll be able to, lessen the effect of these things and create the environment that is required in any democratic enterprise. So I believe that we should sit as a society and bring back the conversation as to how we can finance political parties so that we can, tame these political actors and create a better system for ourselves. I think this is my message for this morning.
Well, thank you very much for those succinct thoughts. Just a quick add-on, though. The viability of Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia come election 2024, because obviously, selecting him as flag bearer is not the chief aim. The end game is to secure power. Just briefly, how viable is he as a candidate? Positives, negatives, pluses, minuses. How viable is he?
Is it for 2024?
Yes.
I guess we are talking about, yeah, all right. Yes, there is no doubt that he is a credible candidate. He has appeal in his party, and by extension, you are saying that he has the same appeal in the country if his party decides to support him. As to whether he will win the election is another conversation altogether. But let's look at his, what brings to the table relative to the election. The election will be determined or be fought on the grounds of the economy. The economic indicators are the one that people are going to throw out to him and see how he can respond to this. We have seen over the years how he was, he was sector ideas for economic and discussion he has held from he has made and have been broken beyond repairs. These are things that are going to be thrown. One of the factors that influence voter choices in Ghana is the economic argument. Voters want to know at each point in time which of the political parties has the economic solution to our problems. And this is going to be a big one. Ghanaians rely on this so much that they don't care a hoot about whichever party you come from or which ethnic group you emanate. But all that they want is that the economy must be sound and the effect will rub off them in terms of their development, in terms of everything, and in terms of what? Their livelihoods. So this conversation will come. Don't take the ordinary Ghanaian for granted that he doesn't know the ABC of economics. At least he has common sense knowledge in that area. What are the prices of commodity? It's a gauge for the ordinary man. What are the levels of what? TNT within the country? It engages the attention of the ordinary man. How is he able to what? Make a living in this country? All of this will come to play, and Bawumia must be ready for some of them. He has said a lot, and we have seen very little. How far we have come relative to this economic decadence we find ourselves. He must prepare himself for questions. Await him at all times. The second variable that really influences the choice of voters in this country is infrastructure development. And you realize that because infrastructure development is tied to the economy, as soon as economy fails, you are going to have the effect in that area too. The Constitution, through the directive principle of state policy, makes it abundantly clear that every section of this country is entitled to a fair share of infrastructure development. The government from now to December, I'm not sure, will be able to carry out a lot of infrastructure development to appease people or to meet that requirement. What are they going to show now that the economy is not performing? All right. Even though they are priding themselves that the economy is beginning to show signs of improvement, but the million-dollar question to them is that, are they the one operating that or the IMF? So all these things put them in a very tight corner, especially Dr. Bawumia. Will he able to do the infrastructure that people want so that they can also enjoy their share of the national cake? Already, people are up in arms against the government to fix roads within their neighborhoods. And some of these things are falling on deaf ears. That is going to be a conversation during the campaign. And Mr. Bawumia must be alive to this. The third issue is what? How political parties fight corruption. We have effort by the government to deal with corruption, but preponderance of corruption in this government is extremely amazing, and that is what is going to also be danger. How well you fight corruption.
Right.
Has the government been able to fight corruption effectively? And these and other factors such as what? Employment. Unemployment is very high. There is a large army of youth who are idle and do not find jobs. A lot of them are desperately looking for jobs, except that they do not exist. In economic terms, they will tell you that there are people who are interested in jobs, but there are no jobs. There are people who want to change jobs, different aspects. But I'm talking about those who are desperately looking for anything to make ends meet, but they can't find. What type of statement has Dr. Bawumia got for them? How can he assure them of anything, having gone through 7 years of no show, if I may put it that way? How is he going to convince them in this regard? Because remember, politics is nothing but a contest of ideas. Yes, you must come out with the ideas which he has come out over the years. But beyond ideas, we want a referendum of your work. Can they show something to us? That are the things that await my honorable Vice President.
Right. Interesting thoughts you've espoused. Later, when we're ending, I'll come back to you with another interesting conversation on this bit because people have started already couching, questions in respect of who becomes his running mate. The likes of the Majority Leader, Osei Mensah Bonsu, the likes of Education Minister, Dr. Osei Duchum. There's also the Energy Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. There's the Deputy Majority Leader, Joe Wise. All these names are coming up at the tail end, when we're done with the review. I would like your take on all of these, because I've also seen somewhere people saying it is not meant for the flag bearer to choose whom he wants. It is meant for the party to choose who the flag bearer, the running mate will be. But let's get into the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Wager Dam under siege. Minister warns encroachers to stay away, back off. Korea Exim Bank funded projects resume after November. Get Fund completes 2,731 projects 2019 to 2023. That's according to the administrator. Security personnel deployed to Toflokpo. Residents Electrochem react to incident. On the back page, NPA regulates on imports, storage, processing, marketing of bitumen. January. And then 3 entities support flood victims. I'll start from there. 3 entities have donated relief items in support of victims of the Akosombo Dam spillage. They include Rotary Ghana, District 9104 of Rotary International, and the National Insurance Company in partnership with 4 other organizations in the insurance sector, and staff of the Accra East region of the Electricity Company of Ghana. While Rotary presented a 100,000 Ghana cedi check to the Ghana Red Cross Society in support of the victims, the NIC and staff of ECG donated relief items estimated at 200,000 Ghana cedis and 60,000 Ghana cedis, respectively. We doff our hats to them, and we hope that many more will go down this road. Then there is, let me go to that story on page 12. So the Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources, Dr. Frida Pempe, has warned encroachers building close to the Wager Dam to desist from it or risk being prosecuted, and their buildings pulled down by the national security. She said it was illegal for structures to be put up less than 500 meters away from the dam, adding that such activities had the tendency of causing destruction over time. Dr. Prempe, who gave the warning during a working visit to the Wager Dam at the Kpong landfill site yesterday, said ensuring encroachers stayed away from the country's dams was not the responsibility of the sector ministry or the Ghana Water Company Limited only. In other words, we were all involved. But the point to be made is, in any country with proper systems, this wouldn't happen. So why does it keep happening? Yes. Even today, I'm sure someone in that catchment area is putting up an edifice. We'll wait for them to finish and then we'll say, you shouldn't have built here. Who gave the permits? Your reflections, sir. Doc?
Yes, I think, Ben, you have done it so well. Let me add something little to it. If you look at the building regulations in this country, require that anytime we want to build, the immediate assembly, local authority is consulted and drawings shown to them for permission and approval. If we are talking about building, it is one area assemblies derive a lot of revenue from, and it is an area that also require them to inspect, and then they are satisfied with what you propose to do, whether it sits well in the bosom of the law. The question is, who gave them permit? If somebody is in assembly, who gave permit? He must be responsible for some of these things. All the time, you realize that you go and check, you will see that they will have permit, and you wonder which human being in his right frame of mind, irrespective or ignoring all the rules governing the whole process, give approval to that person. Sometimes, of course, people don't even go for any approval. They begin to build, and they themselves will inscribe on the buildings, stop work, produce permit, that type of nonsense, I'm sorry. All these things are part and parcel of what we call breakdown of institutions within the body politics, particularly in local government areas, that the assemblies exist, but the rules governing the administration, they themselves either are complicit in breaking them or they look on whilst people break them with impunity. This cannot be said of a democratic state. A democracy is always driven by law and rules. Anybody who goes against these rules is sanctioned without fear or favor. And sometimes the problem in this country is the political will or those who have given power to manage our power on behalf of society. They lack the political will. Sometimes those who put up these structures are big political actors within the space. They are afraid to touch them. They remain untouchables. All these things undermine the smooth operation of the assembly in some of this respect. I believe that going forward, we need the courage to be able to call a spade and right the wrongs using the law. Whoever thinks he's affected can go to court and seek redress. After all, that is all democracy preaches. I'll move on to the support that has been given to the flood victims by the three entities that you have just mentioned. We commend them, we dove our hearts for them, and we are always in support for whatever they do. But it end there from our part of the society that our society must begin, or our state must begin to prepare itself for such unfortunate situation. I stand side to deal with this.
Right.
A day that these philanthropists or good Samaritans are unable to support us, what then happens? We shouldn't wait for that time. We should begin to take steps to set aside some money that we are using and abusing unnecessarily for such important ventures. Last time you and I were talking about COVID-19 levy, which we still collect, and where is it being applied when renal department, until today's news that that is open. It's unfortunate. A government that we have given our mandate to, that please protect us and our properties, and we will render obedience. It's not bothered about our welfare. All that they care for is the next election. They will do everything possible to make sure that resources are intact to go during campaign and forget about the people whose mandate they are in office. They forget about their lives. They are dying of what? Kidney problems. Their very environment that God has given to them, that they have no choice of changing them, is being abused by they themselves and other actors within the political system.
Right.
And the state, which has been given all the powers to deal with it, act as if it is on sabbatical leave. It's unfortunate. We will have to set up during the next election and make sure that all these things find expression in the campaign so as to give our mandate to those who are rightful in this type of business to be able to help us to address this problem.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Let's get into the Ghanaian Times. I'll just do this additional story and then dive straight into the Daily Guide newspaper. Bring the stories to you, then you can reflect on them. So please get ready to put all of them together. Page 3 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Security personnel deployed to Toflokpo. Residents Electrochem react to incident. So what happened? A team of armed military and police personnel have been deployed to Toflokpo in the Adan West district of the Greater Accra region following a clash between residents and Electrochem Ghana, a salt mining company, resulting in one fatality and multiple injuries. According to reports, the clash, which followed recent violent attacks in the area, was a consequence of the disagreement between the indigents and the company over a portion of the Adan Songo concession. We all know of this issue. It doesn't appear to be dying anytime soon. But then some quick stories I want to bring your way from the Daily Guide newspaper. I'll just highlight a few of them. Veep receives rousing Jubilee House welcome. There were staffers at the presidency who came to salute him. Ayo. Mahama jabs Nana over Bawumia. 2 Adan SHS students drowned in Volta River. Very sad, pathetic. 1,105 workers benefit from rent assistance scheme, and 900 votes rejected in NPP primaries. 900. Anyway, just to highlight, those I want to highlight. Cable thief jailed, and an unemployed resident of Dansoman in Accra has been sentenced to a year in prison for stealing electricity cables belonging to the Accra East region of the Electricity Company of Ghana. Jeffrey Obuobi, according to court documents, had used a cutter to cut core copper cable measuring 1 by 185 and valued at 7,550 Ghana cedis belonging to the power distributor. He was caught pulling the stolen cable from a transformer at Rage when officials of ECG who were responding to a power outage arrived at the scene. So while we complain about ECG and its failure in many ways to supply electricity, there are these nefarious characters also out there. I don't know whether we have camera systems. I don't know what the system really is. But with people like this, I mean, I don't know, he's been given a year, but I hope that serves as a lesson to him. 1,105 workers benefit from rent assistance scheme, and the Minister of Works and Housing, Francis Asensio-Boakye, has revealed that 1,105 Ghanaian workers from 6 regions have benefited from the National Rental Assistance Scheme. According to him, the beneficiaries are in the Greater Accra, Eastern, Western, Ashanti, Northern, and Bono East region. Responding to questions on the floor of Parliament yesterday, the minister said 13,785,597 Ghana cedis had been disbursed to cover the rent advance for the beneficiaries. You know, these kinds of things always make for interesting reading. It would be interesting to get microscopic and go and find out who received what at what time. But anyway, then that story about the 2 Adan SHS students drowning in the Volta River, they apparently left school trying to go and swim, you know, without permission, and unfortunately they drowned. Any reflections on any of these stories, Doc?
Yes, I think I will start with the Toflokpo story. It's becoming one too many that all the time we hear the story about indigents and the contractors of that company always in a clash. What is the problem that the state cannot find solution to? I feel very uncomfortable. Because, look, there is no solution, there's a problem that can ever be dealt with. And it seems as if that we don't have any clue to this problem. It's unfortunate. I believe that the stakeholders in this matter must double their effort so that they bring finality to this case. Then we know who has the right to do what at what point in time. It helps everybody because the resource we are talking about is one of the important resources that people or countries depend on for a lot of things and for what? Revenue as well. So if we don't manage these things very well, but dealing with some of the problems associated with them, I'm afraid we are not going to get the best out of what God has given us.
Right.
So it is my suggestion that the stakeholders will take this thing seriously and address it once and for all. Let's look at the cable thief jailed. I support the judicial system and I salute them for this. Particularly when I'm about the ECG officials who were at the scene, and then apprehended this criminal and then threw him to the court for this decision to be taken. It is good that we do this thing all the time. Let us support ECG to support us. Once we support them, we are always home and dry. Of course, if they deliver services as expected of them, we will not hesitate to take them on. But things of this nature should not be countenanced at all. It is becoming a practice in this country. I don't know whether, Ben, you have taken note of the atomic bridge, the overpass. There are certain materials they use to separate certain portions of the road.
Right.
Individuals, criminals, of course, have started removing them. Not only that, I don't know whether you have also taken note of gutter slabs that people are removing.
Yeah.
I looked at them and said, these are enemies of the open society. All of us should open our eyes, and then when we see them say something, authorities, let us arrest them. These are things that affect our very survival.
I mean, even in law, you can bring to bear a citizen's arrest. I mean, when you see someone engaging in that, even if these ECG officials had not chanced upon these people, you can effect a citizen's arrest under the circumstances because the person could get away, apprehend the person, and take the person to a police station.
Yes. We have to do that. Anytime I drive, I say, hey, these are real criminals. Something that the state has put up for all of us to use and make life tough for ourselves. Some individuals think that they must survive, and all of us should not be in a civilized society. They must be thrown to what? Cooler and go and rest there. When they have a change of, they will come and then be reformed into our society. Okay. The issue of rent assistance scheme is a good one. I commend the government because it's part of their manifesto promise that they will deliver this, even though it has taken a long time, but better late than never. This scheme is in, and I'm happy that they are, giving account to Parliament and the rest of them. But what I want is that they must come out in full disclosure by publishing names and beneficiaries and the addresses where they work, and for us to know whether it was done the way it ought to. Right. Because sometimes not, you get political party apparatchiks who benefit from this. I'm not saying this because I have any evidence, but we are saying that for transparency's sake, for good governance purposes, it is important if they are able to publish the names online in the dailies and all that, giving details so that we also will follow those who are benefited from, because it's a state resource, and we expect that people from different political divide and all walks of life who are qualified must be given that facility.
Doc, we have just a minute. We'll try and manage it. I'll take the scoop from two papers. You don't have to react to all of them. The Finder, government concludes new funding negotiations for La General Hospital. If you look at the details in the Ghanaian publisher, it says, Mr. Kweku Adjumameno, the Minister for Health, says the government has concluded negotiations, identified new funding, and is in the process of advancing negotiations for contractors to remobilize to the La General Hospital site to begin work. After how long? After how long? How many years? You took down the facility. And by the way, the minority in Parliament is saying if that is not taken care of, then they will not approve the 2024 budget. They are going to resist it every step of the way. There's also, I did mention that I'll bring it at the end. Who partners Dr. Bawumia? Names have already come up. Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, Joseph Osei-Wusu, the likes of Dr. Educhum, among others, all these names, Osei Mensah Bonsu. In some 30 seconds, what do you think?
I will deal with the running mate for Dr. Bawumia.
So both of them in about 30 seconds. Both of them, unfortunately, we're pressed for time.
Yes. If you look at this, we have started hearing arguments, conversation about the fact that it will be given to those, somebody from Ashanti region. I support that call. Ashanti regions, tactically, it's a good thing because this is where they get a chunk of their votes. If you go and place that person or pick that person from any region where you don't see much showing in terms of the party support, obviously that will not inure to your benefit. But for Ashanti, which is the mainstay of the MPP, if I may put it that way, if you pick a running mate from that place, is good. But the issue is that the criteria people talking about, even though I've not heard from the party, because I know this decision ought to come from NEC and the National Council with the support of the candidate concerned. So it's not a very simple matter. But what we have heard is that they will look at Ashanti region, who really was able to help Bawumia to pull a lot of votes in your constituency. Right. I asked myself, the first question is, those people who are Ashantis and they are in specific constituencies, are they party chairmen there or what? So as to pull people or encourage people to go and vote. That is one. Two, the issue also is that, yes, imagine you get somebody using the statistics you are talking about to get the right candidate that you want. Is it enough? Because it goes beyond us. That should not be the only criteria. And in fact, it shouldn't even come in at all. So you need the popularity of the person. You need whether the person has baggage, if he has heavy baggage, I'm afraid, is going to weigh heavily against him. You need somebody who can rub shoulders with what John Mahama and the rest of them. So
I guess
it's a tall order.
It's
So
fitting to say that, like you just said, it's a tall order. We've run out of time, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, unfortunately, but thank you so much for joining the conversation this morning. Always enriching our conversation. We're grateful, Doc. That is Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, political scientist, director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. This segment, as always, is brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They are offering you free prostate screening if you're a man, free fertility screening if you're a woman. Just look out for them. They are here in Accra at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi, Kronoma Bwehia, behind the Angel Educational Complex, Takra de Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiamanzima. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Of course, bringing us to the end of the newspaper review. Up next, get ready for sports with Muftau Nabila Abdullahi.